Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started with service. Thank you so much for coming today. We will begin with opening meditation. If you'd all please join me in Gassho. Attention to detail is not about perfection. It's about excellence, about constant improvement. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. We'll continue with the three treasures. Fortunate is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Rare is it to encounter the teachings of the Buddha. Now we hear it. If we do not seek the truth of the Dharma in this life, in what life shall we find it? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken within us our highest aspiration. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the Dharma and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in a life of harmony, in a spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriad of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful teaching. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 And we'll now have the chanting of Juseige. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 가곤 초세간 희심의 전어 시가 흠한서 세부 조성가 가옴을 요고 의 달세시우 의사쇼빙우 세부 조성가 가시조버츠노 묘쇼초지법 극교미쇼몬 세부 조성가 니욕진 쇼넨 조에슈봉요 시금의 전어 이쇼텐닌시 진리기엔 달고 의쇼의 사이도 쇼조상금요 고산슈야근한 가희지행엔 매시곤모안 해석쇼악노 즈나츠젠슈몬 고소조만조 이요노지봉 니치가츠 슈주기 텐고옴풍엔 이슈카이호조 고세크도고 조오다이슈지오 세포시시크 그용이사이머스 그소크슈토크온 元年出上満得意三害を女仏無下地つらつみ不詳万学へり投資最小尊志願略国家大戦王冠の国書天人統治妙見南蛮ダム南蛮ダム南蛮ダム南蛮ダム南蛮ダム南蛮ダム元にしくどく病の聖祭道本も大心往生安那公Namandos, namandos, 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 namandos. We'll now have the recitation of the golden chain. Golden chain. I am a link in Amita's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amita's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namon knows, Namon knows, Namon knows, Namon knows. Okay, we'll now have the first gatha. Oh, that's kind of small, huh? Once Upon a Dream. Geez, my paper's kind of small too. I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream. I know you, they gleam in your eyes, so familiar a gleam, yet I know it's true that visions are seldom what they seem. But if I know you, I know what you'll do. You'll love me at once, the way you did once upon a dream. Okay. So I picked that song because it's from Sleeping Beauty, which is a beautiful movie And as a child growing up, I think you can, or not you, but I could appreciate it was a very pretty movie because, you see bright colors and that's a lot of fun. But as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate all different kinds of movies and the amount of effort it takes to get any movie to look the way it does. Whether it's special effects or just a certain kind of shot or, like a single long shot or something. There's a lot of different things that go into making the entertainment that we view. And as I've gotten older, I understand, a little bit more. Obviously, I'll never understand completely, but I understand a little bit more all of the energy that goes into it to make these incredible pieces of art. And so, as I've been kind of looking at different movies that I've seen before, Sleeping Beauty was one that stands out because it is kind of this artistic masterpiece, not just viewed by myself, but by many different people of how incredible it is. And so I looked into a little bit of the history, and the history was really interesting. The art direction was led by a man named Ivan Earl, and he arrived at Disney in 1951. And so when he came, he was already this established artist. Even as a teenager, he had very impressive pieces, and he was known actually throughout the world, which is kind of incredible. But he'd always wanted to be at Disney. He had applied many times he had been rejected, but finally he got in and he started as a background artist, first, I believe, for Peter Pan. He recalls in his autobiography when the first day he came to work, up on the wall was about 100 exquisite little paintings by Mary Blair. And in my mind, I said to myself, that's the job that I want at Disney. So for people who don't know who Mary Blair is, she also is an incredible artist. She did storyboards for many of the Disney classic Disney movies, Peter Pan being one of them, and her iconic art can be seen on the ride for It's a Small World. So it might look a little bit different than like the movies that she was lead storyboard on, but I'll get into that a little bit. Because when Walt Disney put together the scenes for Sleeping Beauty, he wanted a moving illustration. So what that kind of means is there is a style for animation, right? And then there is a style for illustration. Now it's much more labor intensive for animation because you have to do many, many, many different drawings. And they did them all by hand, right, back then. And we're starting to see kind of a renaissance now. But anyway, so it's much more labor intensive for the animation. So because of that, it's a little more simplified. But Walt Disney was looking for something that looked just like an illustration, that had all that detail. And he also said that for years and years, he'd been hiring artists like Mary Blair, who I mentioned earlier, to designing the styling of a feature. And by the time it's finished, there is hardly a trace of the original styling left. This time, Ivan Earl is styling Sleeping Beauty, and that's the way it's going to be. So he was given basically the entire responsibility for the decisions in the case of character designs, color schemes, visual appearance. Walt Disney had in his mind this idea that it would be overseen by a single vision, and because of that, kind of from the beginning to the end, it would end up looking how he expected it to look. So this might seem like a pretty logical thing to do, but it was actually unprecedented at that time to place one artist in control of a film's visual style. And there was actually a lot of conflict that happened in the production of the movie because of that. Animators were used to having the things in the forefront, the images in the forefront, the people and stuff, the things that are moving, that would have the most attention paid to it. And the background, it kind of goes off whatever's in front of it. But what happened is the background is actually what influenced everything else in the movie. So it was kind of backwards, and many animators, of course, weren't familiar with it. And because of that, there was a lot of frustration trying to learn not just a new style, but a new way of completely animating these movies. there was even this story about how a lot of the animators actually gathered up and brought this issue to Walt Disney, but Walt Disney stayed firm and wanted to see the thing through, to his credit. There was a lot of different things going on. He was trying to do TV shows, and Disneyland was under construction, and so there was a lot that he was doing, but he really wanted to see this finished the way that it was. So it did take a long time because of the amount of detail that Earl put into the movie, and while sometimes backgrounds would usually take about 1 day, it took about 10 days for him to make these backgrounds. So it made the production a very long process. And in an email interview, one of these animators that began their career on the film said that the work was demanding and the expectation was the highest of any animated film ever produced. So drawings that would ordinarily be considered inconsiderate in any other film would be given the highest attention. No detail was too small to be considered. And in my opinion, I feel like it paid off. I guess when it came out, it really didn't. But as in terms of lasting influence on the artistic community, and especially the animation community, it can't be denied how important it was. So 60 years after its premiere, it still stands as this landmark with new generation of artists working at at Disney and like Pixar. They still look to movies like this, like Sleeping Beauty, as influence and inspiration. So I think that at least for me, understanding the mentality behind it kind of lends itself to why it ends up being such a beautiful picture, because there was so much attention paid to the detail for things that aren't even normally paid attention to, things that are just supposed to be afterthoughts. There was deep attention paid to it. And I feel this is an important lesson for us in our lives, and that we can learn from the Buddha Dharma. We aren't really doing too many big things right now, right? Because we're still in the shelter in place, so there isn't a whole lot to be said about like, oh, we're doing all these big grand things. I'm not saying that nobody's doing anything, but it is hard to kind of go out and do really big physical things. What we have been able to do, though, is communicate to each other in new and different and exciting ways. Whether it's like this, through Facebook, whether it's calling, video calls, whether it's doing like a drive-by celebration. There's all of these different ways that we can communicate and interact with each other. And when we have something like communication between two people or a group of people, really at the heart of it, we have to look at the details. We have to really understand the small things that are going on, and that's what will make the communication the best, and that's what will make our relationships better. So what I kind of mean by that is that when we have these conversations with people, oftentimes we're thinking about what we're going to say, about what we're thinking, and obviously we care about what the other person has to say too, but if we pay attention to even more of the smaller details, we start to think about things like, how am I saying something, right? Now, what am I saying, but how am I saying it? How would that other person take it? How would they feel if I said, whatever? And then also, as you're listening, what am I doing to make them feel like I hear them? What am I doing to make them feel like I understand, or I'm trying to understand, or I want to feel how they feel? It's these small details like this that really make our conversations go from, good conversations to great conversations. These interactions go from good interactions to great interactions. When we're paying to these small details about the nuances that we have in what we're saying, how we're saying it, how we're listening, what we're listening to, and trying to make these little adjustments to make our conversations better. Now, I opened our meditation with this idea that we should be constantly striving for excellence. We should always be trying to improve. We're never going to be perfect, and that's okay. It's important for us to forgive ourselves, forgive other people, to kind of go about with that compassion. So that's where the Buddha Dharma lends itself to helping us be better at communicating. If we communicate with this intention of compassion, then it will, again, bring us up to another level where we can have these wonderful conversations. So to be kind to ourselves, to be kind to others, to really reflect on ourselves and reflect about the interactions that we have and how we can improve. This will start to build up, moment by moment, conversation by conversation, so that we become very good, very effective, and very compassionate at communicating whenever we do. So that is my hope that from this experience that all of us have had to go through, we're in this new year, we're going forward. Hopefully we can get back together again soon, but I hope we do take some lessons from our experience. And for myself, one of the most important ones is that now that we've had to really learn how to communicate in new and different ways and do that even more effectively, we carry on that kind of effective communication, that same kind of mindful, that same kind of compassionate communication into the next year, into when we're back together, into the rest of our lives. It will continue to make our relationships better, our conversations better, and just make us better as a community. If you'd all please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Okay, we'll close with Ondoku-san. Okay, if you please join me in Gassho for closing meditation. The quality of life is in proportion always to the capacity for delight. The capacity for delight is the gift of paying attention. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you again, everyone, for attending. Please take care and stay safe. Bye.